Hello everyone, this is B-Belt Dan, and yeah, you're looking at here an old style stereo. And I know what some of y'all are probably thinking, Daniel, what are you doing right now? What is up with this? Why is it that you're doing all these videos where you're creating puppets, you're doing 3D? What is with the stereo? Well, I'll tell you what it is that I bought my very first record, or brand new record, just the other day, and I had this thing sitting, in my house with no records to play. I don't know why I kept it, but I'm glad that I did, because I bought my very first record, and long story short, when I went to play it, it didn't quite sound right. So I wanted to fix this, but once I started tearing into it, it started becoming real interesting, and so here I am. I decided to go ahead and kind of bring y'all in for just a little bit of the journey and kind of show you some of the things that I'm doing. And who knows, there might be something that I'm doing inside this that might help you out there to repair something similar. So what the problem was is that, first off, the record, it's no matter what I did, it still sounded not quite right. I think it might still be slow, but that's easy fix. The band is probably just a little bit stretched over time, so I think there's an easy fix for that. But it could also be a couple of other issues, which I'm going to look into, but I think it's mostly the band. But this volume was a bit iffish, as well as the equalizer. So it was very difficult. I mean, when I was messing with the equalizer, sometimes the sound would just cut out, or sometimes it would get very muted. The equalizer was not working the way that it was. The volume wasn't working the way that it was. And that was the main thing. Now, there is a tape deck here, but I don't think I'm going to touch this, or at least for today, because I don't have any tapes anymore. And if they do, I don't know if they're even in any good working order. And the radio, well, mostly it's just the record. Now, I know I could go out and I could buy a brand new record player, but that's just not me. I'm not one of those people that can go out and get. So let me go ahead and turn it around, and I'll show y'all what I've done so far. Okay, so this is the inside. I took the back off, and okay, this right here, this is the equalizer board that was in there. I removed each one of those little the little knobs at the end so I could pull it out. It was held in by 6 screws. This was over on top of it. It was covering this board and this board, and okay, oh, I see how that works. All right, we'll get back to that in a minute. So I went ahead and removed it. There was a wire. These wires here were soldered onto that, so I desoldered them all. And to get the board out of the way, for me to get to this, now there is another board here that I could probably try to desolder. Actually, I might be able to remove it. I don't know. And then I can take this entire thing out. Let me go ahead and try that. I don't know, but I'm probably going to go ahead, and while I'm in here, and if I get this where it's going to work, I'll probably go ahead and redo these right here, with actual wood. But the first thing is to go ahead and try to fix this. So let me go ahead and see if I can take that off and free this up, because this is when I started looking into it. It started fascinating me, and I was like, what, this is interesting. Maybe y'all might want to probably see this too. So let me do that real quick. All right, here it is. I have the board out, and I've kind of used a compressor to kind of get all the dust and stuff on it. But this is what I find interesting on this. This is why I thought it would be interesting to, come on, focus, there we go, to go ahead and film, is the type of resistors, variable resistors that it's using. I mean, I'm sure some of y'all out there have already seen these, but I haven't. But all they are just these little sliders. They just slide up and down like so. And they're, I think, relatively easy in respect to variable resistors, is to take apart and to clean and to maintenance. I mean, just to, to work on. Because all it is you just got to See, try to get this one right here. Is you can just pop that top off and then get a little screwdriver or something right down into here. There's a little deal right there. Just pop that down and voila, that pops out. And how this is working is, from the best I can tell, is that you have two traces here, possibly carbon traces, and they're not connected to each other until this right here. Then I think this right here causes them to be, I think, connected together. So as it's, as it moves one direction, the resistance lessens and then, or becomes greater, or lessens, and then as they go up, the resistance becomes greater between the two. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead, and I got some isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and clean all these contacts, clean the contacts here, and I'm actually going to try bending these, oops, there we go, bending these out just a little bit, because maybe they're not making enough tension. So kind of bend those out just a little bit, just to hopefully get a little bit extra tension, and go ahead and test it. But this is how this kind of works. And I'm also going to go ahead and clean up the whole board. I might actually even remove a couple of these caps and inspect them, just to see, test first off to see whether if they're ohming out the way that they're rated to, and they have like a listing on there of how many microfarads that they're rated for, and I'll see if they, if their capacitance is still up to spec, and if they're way off, I'll probably go ahead and replace them, or if they show signs of leaking, I might just go ahead and start replacing all of them. But let's go ahead and clean these and test that out. Okay, I'm going to try to show you here how this is working. So, got my multimeter out. It is set for to read the ohmage. Oh, it's about ready to turn off. I had it off for a while, so let me do that. Change the range, and I'm going to go ahead. You can't see it. All right, yeah, as you can see here, let's try that. Went ahead and changed the setup a little bit. Yeah, as I turn it down, push it down, where they're bridging at along those contacts should be lessening, so we should be seeing less resistance. And as I move it up, the resistance should be increasing. Oh, I had it earlier. Yeah. Yeah, see that number's going down, but then it starts to jump all over the place. And that's kind of what I'm seeing when I'm messing with this, is that it goes all over the place. But yeah, see, it's starting to go down. There we go. Let's see if I can do anything to make it to where that's a lot more consistent. Okay, so definitely that was, I believe, the problem. That Q-tip right there that you see, I mean, all of that is what I removed by cleaning just this contact right here, just that resistor right there. And remember how it was jumping around before, but now if I go ahead and tie onto these two resistors, see, we get a pretty steady reading, and as I move it up, now you can see it. It's very smooth how it's moving. Yeah, see? I think that's what we're wanting right there. Now, this says it's a 50 K ohm variable resistor, so I'm guessing that it's supposed to go from like 0 to 50, or there's at least a 50 ohm range between the low and the high, but I'm not getting it. But see, I'm not testing it directly onto this. I'm testing it connected to between these two resistors, and so there's some additional resistance in there. But as you can see, it's definitely doing a lot better now than what it was. And see, I think that's what we're needing it to do. So now I'm going to go ahead and do that to all these others, and let's see how that looks. Now it's wet with alcohol. Now if I rub it along here, yeah, see that? Yeah, see, all that's coming off. So I think that's probably majority of my problems. I'm going to do that to all of them, and then I test the caps, and I'll come back if I find any problem with any of the caps. All right, everybody, so I have this all done. I got all of these contacts clean, and I've tested each and every single one of them with the multimeter, and as I move these up, the reading on the multimeter moves with it very smoothly. So I think I got it. I think that should be working. And truthfully, this is probably all I really need to do on it, but I want to make sure before I put it all back together. And I want to try to clean up this board, because as I started cleaning it, you know, there's this yellow or it's brown stuff that's coming off on it. So I don't know what it is. It might just be flux or what have you, but I want to try to give it a decent cleaning. And I've tested all the caps, and all the caps for the most part seem to be working okay. So I mean, they're working good. They're well within the range, or the percentage of range that they're rated for. So I think we're good on that. Now I will need to also clean up the box, the stereo itself, before I put this all together. Before I do that, I want to go ahead and turn my attention to the turntables. And I believe that you know, because when I put a record on, it just doesn't sound right. It just seems like it might be just a tad bit too slow. Now that could mean, that could be the motor might be going out. It could be that maybe there's some cap banks in the stereo itself that powers this might be going out, because there's not much on this. I mean, here's the motor. I don't think there's much on that. I don't think there's really much on this. This just seems like that is, you know, just where, you know, wires come in, wires go out, signals go out. That's pretty much just about it. That's just a switch right there to tell it which speed you want it to play. More than likely what it is that the belt, even though it looks like it's in good condition, it might be just ever so slightly stretched. And I believe that there's a way that you can take that off and treat it to where it'll return back, or shrink a little bit and return back to its original form, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and see if that will work by taking this all apart. And I believe all I need to do is just take off this piece, and I can take this plastic shell off of the main mechanism here, and we can hopefully get a better look at. And I think I might have to remove that nut to be able to get this all off. So let's go ahead. Actually, I could probably just go ahead and remove the nut to get this turntable off, this nut here. But I want to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that and see what we got. Okay, there it is. So I have the band right there. I have the motor there. Oops, right there. So the motor's there. The band is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and try some things that I've seen people online do to, you know, kind of freshen up these bands, make them almost like new, but everything else looks good. In fact, I mean, here is the mechanism that it was spinning on right here, so I might look into that. And it looks like it's supposed to have some sort of grease or lube on it, so I'm actually definitely going to take a look to see if I can find out what type of grease this is using, see if I have any, or what would probably work, and make sure it's all nice and greased up, because that could be another thing. Maybe the grease is starting to dry up and it's making too much friction. I mean, there might be supposed to be more grease in this than that on it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, everybody, so I went ahead and I took the band inside, and what I did is I boiled some water. I put it in and I let it sit for about a good 5 minutes, and, you know, hopefully that it would eventually shrink it. And I don't know if it actually shrunk. It's very hard to tell. I mean, it may not have, I did kind of get like I drew a circle using it on a piece of paper and compared it, and I didn't really see much of a difference, but it does look like it's fitting just a little bit, just ever so smaller on it now than it was when I first took it off. So we're going to go ahead and start putting this all back together, but I'm going to go ahead and clean it up because as you can see there's a lot of dust here, and there's probably more dust in other areas, so that may be affecting it. But I'm also going to go ahead and get some grease to put on this here, which goes into there and allows it to spin inside that piece and that piece there. And I think it's just going to be standard grease. I couldn't really find anything online saying that it had to be anything special, so I got some of that grease, so I'll put that in there, and hopefully that will reduce the friction, because I think that's also probably what's, if it's not because of this band, it's more than likely, I'm thinking, because of, hopefully it's just losing a little bit of this grease, so it's developing a little bit of friction. So let me go ahead and get started with that and put this all back together. All right, let's go ahead and do a little experiment to see whether if it makes a difference once I grease once I grease it. So let's try it. This is before the grease. Yeah, I guess that looks normal, making some noise. So let's put some grease on it and see if that makes any difference. Okay, and here it is after. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to tell. Maybe doesn't sound as loud. And maybe it's spinning a little bit faster, so we'll see. I don't think it's hurting it. Yeah, I don't think it's really hurting it. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and put it back together and see what happens. Okay, I got the turntable all back together, and I'm about ready to start putting all the components back in. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and test this all first, make sure it's all working properly before I invest in making any, cosmetic or external changes on this. But looking at this board, I'm wondering if it works and I decide to go ahead and do some, modifications to this, I'm wondering if I should go ahead and maybe upgrade it. So I've already kind of decided I might not come back in with the, with the tape deck here that's right behind here, because I don't have any tapes, and if I do, I don't know if they're going to work, so I don't know if I want to invest into that. But I'm noticing that on this board, let's see, there's like right here, it says, see if I can get to zoom in, it shows that there's 18 volts and a ground, and down here shows CD. Now there is a CD and a auxiliary, but those are just inputs. So I'm wondering if that could probably take almost any audio input from any kind of CD player. So I'm wondering, I could probably take this for power, 18 volts. Now, I'm more than likely will have to step it down, but that's not too difficult to do. But I can get power from there, or maybe even power from a different part of the board to use that, or even the power that is used to power this tape deck here to power a CD player, plug it in to either the, the phono, the CD, or even, if I'm removing the tape deck, even just plug it into the tape deck and maybe upgrade this to where it can play CDs, or maybe even put in a, I don't know. I mean, I could probably mess around with this if I look into this long enough and figure out that there might be some additional things that I can probably do with it. So, I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all probably think. I'd like to hear what y'all probably have in mind. But, in the meantime, I said right now, my goal is to put this all back together and test it out, see if it works first. And that's probably going to be the end of the video. And then I'll revisit it maybe later, at least on a personal level, maybe not in front of the video unless y'all want to see it, and see what I can probably do to, upgrade this whole unit. So let me go ahead and do that, and when I come back, it should be all put together inside, and I'll be testing it out. So, all right. All right, I'm going to say this right now. I almost got it all back together. But if I take this apart again, which I probably will, I am going to replace these connectors and this connector right here. In fact, I'm going to replace a bunch of this to make it easier to take apart if I need to, because this here, pain in the butt. And this here, I don't feel comfortable that it's seated in properly. So if it doesn't work, I'm blaming this and I'm going to replace it. But let's get it all together and see what happens. All right, everybody, I'm back inside my house. I have it all put together and I've tested it, and surprisingly, it does. I mean, this works. I figured that all of these little connections here wouldn't work because of that faulty connection on the inside. I still want to replace it, but right now it's working. Now, I don't have a way to test the record right now for y'all, because if I play my record that I just bought, I am more than likely going to go ahead and get flagged by YouTube. So I honestly don't think that they would mind so as much, but their record label would probably flag me. So I got something else done. So I mean, just trust me, the record player will work. I mean, if it's put on, if I have it on record, let me go ahead and, oops. If I put it on record, I pick it up, I move it, it'll spin. It sounds like it's doing an okay job. I mean, it sounds like it's doing pretty good. And once it gets to its end, here, let me go ahead and put this down. Yeah, once it gets to the end, it automatically picks up, takes it off to the other side, and docks it and turns off. So all of that is good. But as far as all of these, and if they work, well, I got a little song here that I think I can play. It's you might recognize it at first, thinking, wait a minute, I know that song, you're going to get flagged, but I don't think I'm going to get flagged, and you'll see why. So here, let me go ahead and play this, and I'll show you all the audio and everything. Whoops. Whoa. Yeah, see, I move up and down the volume. It works. Left and right. That works. And if I move, yeah. All right, enough of that. All right, yeah, you're hearing a bit of sound, but I think that's just because of the way I have it connected. If I let me just go ahead and turn that off. There we go. So, but yeah, it works. I mean, before, when I was moving these up and down and everything, it was cutting out. The audio was cutting out. Like, I would move it to turn it up, and suddenly it would go from slight volume to no volume at all, no sound at all. Same thing when I was moving this left and right, I would hear no volume. Move this up and around, it was very staticky. But now everything is smooth. So I think I got it fixed. So yeah, with that being said, y'all, hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully y'all learned something from it. And once again, just like with all my videos, hopefully if y'all have something similar to this that's having a problem and y'all have been afraid to try to fix it yourself, hopefully this video has encouraged you to take, just go ahead and take a risk and try fixing it yourself, because it really wasn't actually all that difficult, except for resoldering some of those points. So hopefully you enjoyed it. It was just a real quick video, real quick fix. Let me know if y'all would like to see kind of a part 2, so to say, because I said I could probably put a CD player in this one. I'm more than likely going to abandon these because I've determined that these aren't working, or I could probably fix them. Y'all let me know, but I still want to go in, replace those connectors that are inside, make them better connectors, so I can. It's a lot easier to take apart and put back together. The sides, I'm going to redo the sides, so instead of this cheap stuff, it's actually going to be real wood and things. So y'all let me know, but until then, I just want to say thank you for watching. This is B-Belt Dan, and I will see you next time.